If your business is relying on just one source of revenue, then it's time to reconsider your business model, I would have thought. Swimming coach Brenton Ford did, and now business is going swimmingly. Thank you very much. In fact, he's about to have his first 7-figure year, and he's a swimming coach. It's an ever so slightly wet behind the ears episode 490 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to your ultimate marketing resources list, which you'll find at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of freestyle marketing. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And today's episode is made possible thanks to your ultimate marketing resources list, which is a list of all the resources myself and past guests use to create marketing that works. There's no bright shiny objects, just reviews and links to the best tools you need to nail your marketing. You'll find what I use to build and communicate to my list, to edit videos simply and cheaply, to host my websites, to get stuff designed, plus plenty more resources. Check it out. Your ultimate marketing resources list at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Big show today. Swimming coach Brenton Ford shares how he's added multiple revenue streams to his coaching business. One even gives him tax-deductible holidays, like that. This week's Monster Prize Draw winner has implemented so many ideas from this show that I can't read them all out. Plus, I'll let you in on who's joining us in upcoming episodes. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn or Facebook in particular, then I suggest you do, because something new going forward is that I'll be doing little teaser videos about each upcoming episode. They're nice and short, give you a sense of who we'll be talking to, what we'll cover, why you should listen in. So I'll put my LinkedIn and Facebook links in the show notes for episode 490 over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Righto, well, if you like the idea of finding additional revenue streams in your business, then you are going to love what today's guest has to share. Now, unlike most swimming coaches who just make a living by walking up and down the pool yelling, "Kick harder, harder, that's it." Well, Brenton Ford of Effortless Swimming has an online membership, think recurring income, online and face-to-face training, think scalability, overseas camps, think free holidays, clinics, I just attended one the other day, and plenty more. He's got 1,500 people go through his clinics each year, 900 forum members paying a monthly fee. You do the math. A support team in the Philippines, 6 coaches, some ex-Olympians, delivering his IP all around Australia. And the guy's a weapon when it comes to using YouTube, Facebook, Insta, and he's got a podcast to drive traffic into his business. He's a swimming coach. Now, his business has grown 37% per annum for the past 5 years and is on track to do 7 figures this financial year. I think this is a great story. I started off by suggesting to Brenton that his business model applies to any business owner who has something to teach someone else.
Yeah, and the way that Effortless Swimming has evolved over the last few years is I originally wanted to have a business that was purely online. I was behind the scenes, I wasn't the face of it, and I did that for the first couple of years, and it went okay, but it wasn't until I really got active in the business and I became the face of it, and I was happy putting myself out there that we started to develop a good reputation. We got a good following, and people really started to recommend it to other people. Mm-hmm. So it was something that I didn't originally, where it is now is very different than where I first thought it would go.
Well, no doubt, because, I mean, you come from a line of swimming coaches. Your mum and dad are swimming coaches.
My granddad, he used to manage the mall outdoor pool too.
That's awesome, mate. Were you born in the pool? Like, were you one of those water birds?
Mum wasn't that much of a hippie, so no, thankfully not. But yeah, it runs in the family, and Mum and Dad run a learn to swim business as well. So
Because what's interesting is, and I'm sure there are still the majority of swimming coaches out there, and I could extrapolate that to other types of coaches who are just working in the old world, which is face-to-face, one client after another, no amplification, none of that. You know, it's just selling your hours.
Yeah.
You figured out how not to do that, right?
Yeah, and that's, for me, I've always wanted to run a business, and I was very lucky that swimming what I'm doing could be a business as well. So when I was young, I sold stuff through eBay and sort of typical story with that. And then I started this business first year out of university, and just slowly grew it while I was working full time. Swimming's so technical, as you know, that it's a lot of people are putting the effort in, but it's the technique that's holding them back, and most people know that. And so when they get frustrated with that and they're not getting the results, but they're putting the effort in, then that's when they usually seek out someone like us to help them.
Let's break the business down, Brenton, because they're I want to sort of break the conversation up into offers and then how you're driving traffic and building profile. So your offer, you got face-to-face coaching, pretty obvious. You know, someone can come to a pool where you are, like I did yesterday with Sarah, and you gave us an hour and a half in our own dedicated lane. Happy days.
Yep.
Yeah. That was awesome because you had the GoPro underwater on top of us, in front of us. Explain then what you did.
Yeah. So what we did yesterday, I sort of ran you through like a mini clinic because what we normally do, I don't really do much one-to-one stuff anymore just because of that selling time for money. And I actually find that when we run the full clinics, which are 3.5 hours usually, we get to go through the whole education process about what people need to know to swim faster. So it gives them this base of knowledge that's going to help them going forwards. So what we did yesterday was kind of like a mini clinic, but more just specific to what you guys were doing. So we did the underwater filming. I analysed you using this app. I'll record that analysis so you guys get a copy of it.
Explain that, because it's clever. I mean, the use of technology in your coaching business is awesome. So you got the GoPro, that's underwater, that's all happening, and then you literally at the end of the pool, 2 minutes later, you've uploaded it to your iPad, and we're watching ourselves swim, and you're drawing all over it and showing bloody angles, and it's incredible.
Yeah, and that's something that we could only really start doing it about 4 years ago, because before that, the technology with the GoPros, it took 5, 6, 7 minutes to upload one video, so we couldn't do that at clinics in person, but eventually the technology caught up. We've tried to stay at the forefront of the technology. So really, I think we're probably the first people, or maybe the first to kind of do what we're doing now in that space of time. So we've really kept up to date with that, and that makes a big difference because when people don't see themselves swimming, and when they do, it makes the biggest difference.
It is a complete game changer. You know, I thought just between you and I thought I had a fairly good form, and then when I saw my left stroke, I was like, that is embarrassing. And the top view, forget it. But fortunately, you said most people find that top view pretty weird anyway. So.
And it's hard to look good from that top view. It's like everyone's left side. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So let's keep offline for a moment. So you've got the face-to-face stuff. Now you've got these clinics and what are you calling them? Camps. So explain what you're doing there.
Yeah, so we've got the clinics, which people just sort of they come along to 3.5 hours. They have their stroke analysed, and they've got a game plan to get faster after that.
$250, maximum 6 people.
Yep, that's right. And
nice.
So we run a few variations of that. There are some junior clinics, and we also do follow-up filming. So when people have done a clinic, they come along and they can get filmed and analysed again to check in where they're at, and then just work on the next couple of things. Then with the camps, so this is something.
I love these camps.
Yeah, well, I started, 5 years ago, a friend of mine was working at Tanyapura, which is a sports resort in Thailand, and he said you should bring a group of swimmers over and just come have a camp there. And I thought I don't know who's going to want to come along with me, but I thought, all right, I'll book a couple of rooms, I'll open some spaces up, and we were lucky enough to fill that camp. I think we had maybe 20 swimmers around that come along, and that's probably the most I could handle, and this was just me coaching.
So getting bumps on seats is hard. So you got 20. You must have been wrapped.
Yeah, well, I look back and I actually lost money on that camp because the currency varied from the time I opened up bookings to when I ended up paying. And I didn't leave enough margin on top. But that's fine. That happens.
Yep.
But it was a great camp, and I called it Hell Week because we used to do some training camps, and it's a very common thing in the swimming world. You have Hell Week where you train your butt off.
Mm-hmm.
But I opened that up, and it booked up really quick, which was great. And I had a lot of my own swimmers who I used to coach come along.
Mm-hmm.
So I've run that for the last 5 years, and it's gotten a really good reputation where now it's not Hell Week. It's called Hell Week, but it's not as hard. So it's more about you come along, you get to train. We do a lot of filming and analysis. I have 3 other coaches with me, and there's 21 swimmers maximum. So there's a lot of coaches compared to the swimmers, and we just give them a lot of value, a lot of feedback, and that's made a world of difference in terms of the result that people get, how much they enjoy it.
And what does that then do for your connection to your clients?
It's been the last 2 or 3 years when we've done that. It's just been so much better. Like we've had people who have come along to 4 or 5 of those camps,
Awesome.
and they keep coming back, and I've made some really good friends out of it as well. So I look back at the camps that we do now, and yes, it's great for business and everything, but the relationships and connections that I get through that are more rewarding than anything related to the business.
Customers for life.
Yeah.
I noticed on your you got a Hawaii swim camp coming up.
Yep. So
awesome.
yeah, one of the coaches, he's an ex-Olympic swimmer and coach from New Zealand. I got introduced to him through some of my clients, and so he knew some people in Hawaii. He said, "Would you like to run a camp over there?"
Yeah.
So I said, "Why not?" Yeah.
So what's the trick to making $1 out of that? Because again, this is all this is your business model. How are you actually then? You got the currency foreign exchange worked out.
Yeah, I figured that out now.
Yeah. Are you putting together a package with the resort? People worry about their own airfares and getting there.
Yep. Yeah. So the way we basically run it is we have options there, but we essentially look at the accommodation. We know how much that's going to cost. We know how much the transport's going to cost during the camp, and any other things like I've got to pay coaches and lane hire and all that sort of stuff. And then we just add a margin on top.
Mm-hmm.
So we just make sure that they're not running at a loss anymore.
Totally.
And I know what the break even is, but we typically sell those camps out because they are small groups, 12 to 21 swimmers, and now I'm running 7 of those next year because they're profitable. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy them, and I want to do more of what I enjoy. So that's why I've ramped it up for next year.
That's awesome. Hawaii, Thailand,
and Noosa.
Hey, nice.
Yep, can't be.
So
here.
I don't have to go to Thailand or Hawaii to enjoy these camps.
You can roll out of bed and be there, mate.
Quite like the idea of going to a sports camp in Thailand, but anyway,
Yeah.
talk about that later. So okay, so we're now going to leave the business offers offline.
Yep.
Now we're going online. At the heart of that is a forum, which I love. I mean, again, how many coaches have got a forum? So in that forum, you've got a whole lot of e-learning, video training, swimming courses, and then an opportunity for, will you explain what else you can do in the forum?
Yeah, we've really got one main online offer now. We used to have separate products, and they're still out there, but all I promote now, we've got our membership. Which,
explain what you had, Brent, and then
Yeah.
why you've gone to what you've got now.
so we used to, when I first started, the very first product was like a DVD online. It was a video course that people could go through to improve their swimming. And then I made a couple of other ones where as I updated them and learnt more, and we used to sell them as individual products. Now we package them together in just one annual membership. So at the moment, it's $55 a year. It's quite cheap. And it's
That's really cheap.
Yeah, well, I opened it up 4 months ago or 5 months ago.
A year or a month?
A year.
Right.
Yep. So really, really cheap. And it's just got all of our content in there. And it will eventually get more expensive, but for now, I just wanted to have it as inexpensive. Everyone who has joined on that rate, they'll stay on that rate forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to sort of have that influx of initial members, keep it really cheap for people. And
So what you've basically done, you're creating all this content off to the side and selling it individually. So you sell one course, then you've got to find another buyer to sell another course to, and it's just there's no recurring income.
that's what it was. Yeah.
You've taken all that content that you've created, all that training, videos and, I don't know, worksheets or whatever you had, and put it all into a forum, and now you have a recurring income.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got, I think we're up to 650 members in that video membership.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened that up a couple of months ago. And the other option we've got there is people from around the world can send their videos to me and I'll do the analysis for them. So kind of like what we do in person, but most of our audience is in the US and then Europe and all over the place, really. So that's an option for them to be able to be coached by me and get the analysis and the technique, which is what most people come to me for.
How much do you charge for that?
So that's $99 a month. It's a 3-month upfront. So, and the reason for that is when I'm working with someone, the initial work is up front with working with someone and analysing their technique. But in terms of getting results, it's we get a lot better results when we get to do more than one video. So most people I recommend send a video in 2, 3, 4 weeks time. And so that's why there's that initial 3 months up front for that. Or annual, it's $6.99, and this is in US dollars because our customers are mostly overseas. So we've got...
And you want to get paid in greenbacks.
It certainly helps right now. Yeah, that's right. Nice. Yeah. So we've got about 300 members there. I've had that going for quite a while. So
Mate, that's awesome. So those 300 members separate to the 300 members paying $99 a month are separate to the members that are paying $55 a year just for the training?
Yeah, they're separate, but it's in the same platform.
So it's the same platform.
Yeah.
So essentially you've got about 800 or 900 online clients. Is that
That's right,
doing the math right there?
Yeah, except the stroke analysis members, some of them are on a much cheaper rate because they joined 3-4 years ago. Yeah. So we've just gradually increased the price.
I won't do the entire math because I don't want to embarrass you. You clearly rolled up in a matte black Lamborghini, which I think is fantastic that this is going so well. That's awesome, buddy. Like, how old are you?
32.
Think about that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You've kind of created something there.
Yeah, I guess I started when I was quite young. I was 21 when I first started the business, maybe 22. But I mean, I think I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, and I've always been around good coaches and mentors, and I think that certainly helped being around the right people. And yeah, I guess I look at it, and I'm young in respect to a lot of business owners, I guess. But yeah, I just really enjoy what I do, and I want to keep growing the business. But the lifestyle part of it's probably the most important one for me. I love doing what I'm doing with the business, but I don't want to get to that point where I'm working 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And I think when I was at uni, I did Bachelor of Business Entrepreneurship at RMIT. And the first year we had a class that was small business owners would come in and talk to the group for 2 hours. And what I realised from that is I don't want to be a small business owner that's working 12 hours a day, because most of these guys are coming in and they were burnt out. I was like, that's not what I want. I love to swim. I love to surf. I love being up here in Noosa. And that's really probably my number one, most important thing.
That's awesome. Interesting then that you are really keen to build the clinics and the camps. You've got 7 next year. That's not online. That is face-to-face. That requires you to show up, not only for the duration of the clinic or the camp, but I imagine there's a fair bit of work doing either side of that. That not going against what you value most, which is lifestyle?
Yeah, well, with the clinics, it's myself and there's 3 other coaches that work with me that I've trained up. There's primarily one coach in Sydney who runs all the Sydney clinics.
You employ them or you contract them?
Contract them. And he's been with me for a number of years, and so are the other coaches. So, I mean, I think we had about 1,500 people go through clinics this year, and the same for last year. And so we can manage that. And I've probably gone, I wouldn't say close to burning out, but I've certainly got to the point where I've gone, that's too much travel. Right. So I've had to dial that back a bit with clinics. But with camps, it's demanding. But because I have a lot of coaches there who help me now, and they know the drill, they know what to do, and I just trust them to work with the swimmers, it feels like a holiday.
Tell me about that, Brenton, contracting others. Was it hard to start with? Because people, I'm sure, wanted Brenton Ford when they signed up to a program, and if I don't get Brenton, then it's not the same experience. Yeah. Was it hard to kind of give that part of the business away? It was. It was, and it's still primarily me, so I'm still sort of in that trap, I guess you'd call it. But so Mitch in Sydney, who's one of the coaches there, he's probably a better technical coach than I am. So the feedback that we get from those clinics, people are just blown away. So I know that he's going to do a good job. And I did get to that point where I had maybe 8 or 9 coaches working for me. Some were employed casually, some were contract. But the quality of the clinics dropped, and that's not to say that the coaches weren't good enough, but the training I gave them wasn't enough, and I didn't teach them well enough. So, and it was too much of a headache, like having to think, are they going to show up on time? Are they going to run it to the standard? I was getting stressed about it. I wouldn't be working on the weekend, but they would. But I still might be answering calls and stressing. Yeah. What's the point? I don't want that feeling. No. So I dialed it back, and now it's just a really small group of us, and I'm happy with that. Yeah. The next thing, and the thing that I've been approached about is, would you look to license it or sort of franchise it and have people come in, train with you, and use the Effortless Swimming name and run clinics overseas? And it doesn't appeal to me right now. There are other businesses that have done that, other swimming coaching businesses. Might be a bit early.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. To me, that's not where I want to go. Could I make more money with it? Probably.
Yep.
Would it be more stressful? Absolutely. And
You're a millennial, mate. It's money. It's not all about money.
no, that's
eh?
free time. Free time.
Correct.
Because I think back to when my wife was working full time. She's on maternity leave at the moment, but I was
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's happy being on maternity leave for the next couple of years, I think. But
Right.
she, when I was earning maybe $50,000 a year, and I was going surfing every day and working on the business, but I was living the dream.
Working on a tan by the sounds of it.
And I was like Tim Reid up in Noosa.
Hello.
And and then and I thought like that was a great life. Like there's nothing wrong. I was happy. I wasn't earning that much money or anything, but I was happy. And so I don't want to get to that point where I'm making more money, but I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah,
So
good on you. I like that. Just explore. I want to talk shortly about traffic and personal profile. Just one last bit of the puzzle. You were creating individual products because again, listeners out there, business owners, I believe every single one of them could have some kind of e-learning product, whether it be an e-book or a video series or whatever it is. And I'm going to be exploring that a lot more in the coming months on this show. But you were selling them individually. What was the decision to put it all inside one forum, one membership site? Was it about recurring income and just locking it away and having massive value there as opposed to individual bits of value over here?
Yeah, primarily because people would come to us, they'd buy a product, but they'd also need some workouts to follow. They'd also need something to do with strength training or mobility. So that was a big factor of it, but mostly the recurring side of the business. And that's something that I've certainly focused on the last couple of years because that's when I feel like I've really got a business.
Yes. Yeah, and you can budget. What's the trick to holding a client who is paying a monthly fee? And we're kind of used to it these days, the Netflix and the stands and those, Telstra, telephone plans and all that. I mean, we're kind of used to monthly recurring.
Yeah.
It all gives us the shits, but it's kind of a fact of life. What's the secret to
I think
holding
I could still definitely do a lot more with this, but basically getting the people to use the service and the product, just getting them to, and also showing them the value that they're getting. And for me, like that comparison is someone might spend $800, $900 on a wetsuit, and yes, it'll make them faster, and you probably want to be racing in your wetsuit if you're doing triathlon, but you can save so much more time by working on your technique. And
it's the same as podcasting. Like, first question, you're a podcaster.
Yeah. What's
the first question you get asked?
About podcasting?
Yeah. Be interesting to see the same when I get asked.
In terms of what? In terms of like...
Well, the question I get asked is, what microphone do you use?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So it's like, what wetsuit? It's not going to make you faster. The microphone's not going to make you better, right? It is about, what did you call? It's form. It's like...
it's all technique.
It is. It's the creative challenge of creating great content, or it's the creative challenge of having better form in the pool. The microphone or the wetsuit is by the by, and I've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
Sure, it's good to have a good microphone, and sound's important because in podcasting you're competing against road noise or gym noise or train noise when you're commuting. But yeah, it's an interesting one. You focus more on the creative side of things.
Yeah, I guess that's it's a beginner thing too, isn't it? As soon as you get into anything, like I'm thinking about the beginner swimmers.
Yes.
Had a guy ask a YouTube comment, "Can I use blue tack in my ears as earplugs?" I was like, yeah, you could Google that too.
Go for gold, buddy.
And it doesn't really matter. You could use whatever you want. You could put grass in there. Just like
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, to that point though, yes, he could Google it, but he's bought into you. He's interested in what Brenton Ford's got to say. And I think that's a really interesting thing to understand, because people go, the internet's there. It's full of content. There is nothing I cannot get answered on Google.
Yeah.
Right? But there is another layer of that, which is, okay, like it's like people like email me with questions. It's like they could find that out on the internet, but for whatever reason, they like what I have to say. They're delusional, but that's okay. We're chatting with Effortless swimming coach Brenton Ford. Now, before he reveals more of how he's disrupting the swimming coaching industry, a quick reminder about the ultimate marketing resources list I've created just for you. It contains all the software, hardware and tools myself and past guests use to create marketing that gets results. No bright shiny objects that take your eye off the end game, i.e. growing your business. Just proven resources you need in your marketing arsenal. You'll discover tools to help you with your email list building and communicating, editing videos, creating a podcast, taking online payments, being more productive, and so much more. I'm adding to it all the time, so check it out. Smallbusinessbigmarketing.com is where you'll find it. Now, back to Brenton. We're talking to
Brenton Ford from Effortless Swimming.
effortlessswimming.com, and it's awesome. Now, that's your offering, online and offline, Brenton. I want to talk about how you get people there. You've built a personal profile in your space, a personal brand, and you're driving a lot of traffic. The three things I want to pull apart: content creation, your use of social media, and podcasting. Where should we start? Where are you getting the biggest bang for your buck in terms of traffic?
Yep. It's fairly even at the moment, but it all comes from the same place. So with the content that I do, it's just spread across all the different channels. And my schedule is two videos a week. That's what I set myself to. So those videos, it might be a 10 to 15 minute video where I critique someone's stroke. It's basically showing them what we do at clinics or what they do if they were to join the membership. That's been the biggest game changer with marketing and word of mouth in the last 18 months, because I started doing that 18 months ago, and it just completely changed how people saw us. And
so is this video content that you're uploading? What are you talking about specifically?
yeah, so I upload that to YouTube, and then that same video goes to Instagram, goes to Facebook, and then it also gets chopped up into 30, 60-second snippets of that video where I'm talking about different points. So we can basically turn those two videos, it's kind of like the Gary V model, turn that into multiple bits of content. And we try and publish at least one bit of content a day, but obviously try and do more as well.
Just talking about that repurposing of content, it's clever, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it all the time, and I see it all, from one piece of video content, it's not uncommon to be able to create 30, 40, 80 pieces of content, audio, written words, social media posts, smaller videos. Are you seeing actual return on investment from doing that, or does it just make you feel good that you've created a whole lot of content?
Bit of both.
What are you getting more of? Ego or eyeballs?
I try to not look at the views and all of that, but you still look at it. Although the thing about that is, with videos that have had less amounts of views, like some we've had that have had several million views on YouTube, and they're great, but the ones where I've actually gotten more clients are typically the ones that they might get 5,000 views, 10,000 views, but I go into detail with things, and the people who really want to learn this stuff, they'll watch through the whole thing.
Yes.
So the views are really irrelevant. It's more about whether people learn from it, and those that really want to learn, they'll then seek others out. So for marketing, we've definitely seen a return on it. It's not as trackable as some other things, I guess, and sometimes it's a long process. Like I've had people who have been on my email list for 5, 6, 7 years, then they've come to a clinic, and the same thing goes to people who have watched content for years. And a lot of people will take that content and they'll email me instead of swimming 10, 15 seconds faster per 100. And they haven't paid me a dime, and that's fine. I give away a lot, pretty much everything I know, but there's so much out there and so much that you can learn that when they get to that point and they trust that I know my stuff, that they're then ready to.
You give away a lot, and we've talked about, again, this on the show previously, with the sort of the Jamie Oliver school of marketing, which is basically give away everything for free, and then people want to come, for Jamie's point of view, go to his restaurant, buy his books, buy his DVDs, all that kind of stuff. It just seems to work that way, and I know still a lot of business owners out there thinking, I'm going to give away all my IP and no one will ever use me, and I'm just, I'll go out of business. But it just doesn't seem to be how it works. Even on your website, I mean, you're building an email list. I'm just trying to find it now. What's your lead magnet where you give something away in return for an email address?
Yeah, we've got something on the homepage where you can, I need to think what it is.
11 principles, or 11, is it? No, was it the 5 or the 11?
We've got the 5 principles of fast freestyle.
That's right.
And that's on the website. And then on the homepage, we've got basically, I think you can sign up for 3 videos to help improve your swimming.
Yep.
And that's something that I've wanted to update for probably the last 12 months. But you know what it's like in business.
I mean, you're still getting a lot of sign-ups?
Yeah. And I couldn't tell you how many we get. Yeah. But one of the...
Good that you know your numbers.
Yeah. There's some numbers I know and some numbers I don't.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And it all seems to be working still anyway. But one of the emails in that sequence is I ask people if they haven't bought, what are you doing basically? And I get people replying to that pretty much daily. So I probably should pay more attention to the lead magnet in the sequence. But
well, it is. I mean, I find that a challenge too. And it's thank you for your honesty around that, because it is. I mean, you're trying to get that lead magnet up, and then you've got the series of autoresponders and then all these different funnels going on. And by that time, those of us who don't like that stuff can go cross-eyed.
Yep.
So the question is, do you go out of your way and actually learn it and sort of, it's a bit like eating sand, or do you actually find someone who can do it and report back to you, have some kind of, what do you call it, dashboard?
Yeah, and I've kind of got that set up. Like I have how many podcast downloads, how many YouTube subscribers, all of that gets sent on a Monday, but that's not one that I've got in that dashboard that my team provides. So yeah, it's...
So you're big on YouTube. I'm looking at your YouTube channel now. It's Effortless Swimming. Jeez, it's a bloody hard word to say on a Monday morning. 3 days ago, you posted a video. It's already got 10,000 views. Reduce the effort here. Swim faster.
Don't like the clickbait title.
Well, yeah, I sort of look at it, and that's what I was going to ask you. Reduce the effort here, swim faster. I guess it is clickbait for a swimmer. They're going to look at that and go, oh, yeah, I want to reduce the two things I want to do, reduce effort and swim faster. You said you've got videos with millions of views. Do you know what works and what doesn't? Because I'm looking at, you've also got videos 3 days ago, 1,000 views, 4 days ago, 466 views. Yep. What's the magic of getting views on YouTube?
So the videos where we've got a lot of views, and those ones that have got less, we post our podcast as a video on YouTube as well. And so they obviously don't rank as well and all of that. But the videos that have done well, so I posted there's a guy, Dan Smith in Brisbane. He's was on the Olympic team in Rio, and he swam a 1 minute 10 for 100, and it makes it look like he is swimming as slow as you possibly could. And I looked at that video and I thought, this is something that people would go, that's not possible. And when they look at the way he's swimming, and I knew that the title that I would put there would also make people go, and the title for that was, is this the easiest 1 minute 10 pace per 100 ever? ? And it's, I don't know, it's had 600, 700,000 views. So sometimes you know, but sometimes you don't know what's going to work. And for me, it's just, I put out a lot of content, see what sticks. It's very hard to tell. Sure. Some I can tell, but yeah, there's no secret to it, but consistency and then doing all the tags and the right titles and stuff, but it's still very hard to know.
Brent, videos heavy lifting, I reckon. It's in terms of content creating, big files, editing. There's lots of stuff you need to include when you upload to YouTube in terms of tags, metadata, all that kind of stuff. Are you doing it all yourself, or you got a team?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I hired a video editor to do that, and I basically trialed two video editors. One was rubbish, one was great.
Where'd you find them?
Posted it on Upwork, and I'm going through Upwork. So there's a guy in Macedonia who's doing them now. And but he was great. He searched out extra videos to put in, and he can edit much better than I can. But I've done them all the way up until this point. But what I'm trying to do now is get 8 weeks ahead or 2 months ahead of my content with podcasts and videos. And that way I can just sit back and be comfortable that I don't need to, I haven't filmed a video for a week. I need to go and do it. I imagine, and I actually don't know where Macedonia is, but I imagine the cost of living is a lot lower than in Australia. What are you paying him, can I ask? Yeah, $15 an hour, which is, I mean, there are certainly cheaper ones on Upwork, but he's good. He does a great job, and would the cheaper ones do better? I'm not sure. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot less than what I could hire someone here for. Content-wise then, so 2 videos a week. What else are you putting out there? And you're putting those videos on YouTube, but then you are grabbing the link and you're actually putting the YouTube link into Facebook and Insta? No. So we take the actual video and upload it to Facebook, and then upload it to Instagram as an Instagram TV episode. So we don't... Instagram TV episode. What's that? Oh, it's basically on Instagram you can have videos up to 60 seconds, or you can post it as a longer video and it's published as an Instagram TV episode. Not much of a difference these days anymore, but it just allows you to put all that longer content, which we've got on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Would Facebook and Insta prefer you producing directly into their platform as opposed to importing something from somewhere else? Would they favour you more? So they don't know where it's coming from, because we take that file and publish it directly to Facebook. It's not coming through YouTube at all. Yeah, got it. So what would probably be better is if I made that video or edited it some way to be specific for Instagram, because some content works better in different platforms. Yeah. But there's so much you can do. I just do what I can. Other content you're creating beyond video, anything? Yeah, so podcasting, I've done that for, I'm not sure now, maybe 6 years or 7 years, but I haven't been very consistent with it. Why? Again, so much to do, and then it sort of gets left by the wayside. And videos, I don't know. We definitely get podcasting's been well worth it, and I think a lot of the clients who have come to our camps, the higher value products that we've got, a lot of them have come through the podcast, or they listen to the podcast. Interesting. So and now I'm being consistent with it. So one a week is what I'm setting myself, and just getting, batching it on a day. I might record 4 or 5, get different guests on, and get ahead of myself. So that's what I'm aiming to do, because I mean, you've done it for 10 years now, and have you done it every week for 10 years?
No. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been pretty consistent every Thursday.
Yep.
There have been moments when I've kind of, got the wobbles, or maybe not lost interest, but life catches up and you kind of you lose a few weeks. But no, I try to be consistent. I certainly see in regards to engagement, if you're consistent, then your numbers go up. If I went to London a few weeks ago and missed 2 or 3 weeks and numbers dropped. People are unforgiving. It's like, what's next? It's competitive, right? And you set an expectation, and my audience know that it's a weekly show, and you set that expectation. If you don't deliver, then there's plenty of other things to listen to. Got a podcast question for me?
I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I've listened to your podcasts from many years ago, and then have listened to some other ones that you've done as well. So it's come full circle, which
awesome.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love having guests on, and who have listened to the show, and now you've got your own podcast. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Righto. So podcast. Just talk to me with your videos and your podcast. What's the call to action, and where do you place it? Because again, if you don't have a call to action, then you're creating art, right? There's a commercial reality to what you're doing.
Yeah, for the podcast, I chop and change with it. Sometimes I'll introduce the guest. I'll talk about who I've got coming up, and then I'll say we've got more clinics coming up here, or we've got these camps coming up. That's usually the only call to action that I have. But the what I try and do in videos and in podcasts is just seed things. So I might refer to what we do at clinics is this, and this is the result that we've got.
Yeah, seed. Yeah.
Seed.
Yeah, I like that. Seed's a great concept of like just mentioning it in conversation, as opposed to stopping and go, buy from me.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, we did that at the Thai camp last year and it worked really well. We're going to do it again this year. And it's conversational.
That's right. And I think the story side of things too, like I try and use a lot of stories from people who have come to clinics and do it that way. And it's I think of a lot of the products that I've bought, or what's made me actually take action, it's really stories. That's what I find people buy into a lot more than a straight up, come to a clinic because this. It's like, no, people don't really want to be told what to do. They're much more receptive when it's a story.
Love stories. Yeah. Okay, so we've got video, we've got podcasting, Brent, social. That's great content. I mean, business owners freak out about social because they're not getting the return or the engagement because they don't have anything to say. But if you create content, that's immediate things to say. It's immediate stories to share, things to say, opinions to share, all that kind of stuff. What else are you doing besides posting content on social? Anything?
We don't do any offline marketing, no brochures, flyers, or anything like that. And maybe part of that is that the clinics that we do pretty much fill up just with what we're currently doing. So if it started to dry out, we might look elsewhere and posting flyers and stuff at the
What I did mean, though, is outside of posting your video content and podcast content to Instagram and Facebook, are you actually doing little, like, for example, yesterday we could have taken a quick shot and gone, a couple of podcasters, stuffing around the pool.
I was going to save it for today. Yeah.
There you go. Just little tactical posts.
Yeah, I'm not great with that, really.
Yeah.
And it's something that would probably be helpful, but
it's just a challenge, isn't it?
It is,
again, I really appreciate your honesty because, I don't want people... I know people tune into this to hear from business owners who have interesting stories and who are using marketing effectively, and that's you. But it doesn't mean you're getting it all right. And
no, there's so much more I could do.
You're having an absolute crack, and the upside's huge, which is really exciting. They got the fundamentals right. I think it's wonderful the way you've got this whole online, offline offer, and you're really embracing some content marketing and social media. But again, so back to talk about team. So you got Mr. Macedonia, who's going to be your video editor. Who else have you got on your team?
I've got 3 contractors in the Philippines. So 2 of them are full-time. One does the weekend customer support. And they've been with me for close to 2 years now. And they do most of the admin, customer support, back-end stuff with the podcast and the videos. And they just
make... Do you mean show notes and images and graphics and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, our show notes are fairly basic. And again, that's something we could do a lot better. But we use rev.com to transcribe it. I just get them to submit it to Rev. And then they'll do the show notes and stuff, so all the timestamps and things like that. So that takes so much. Before, when I was doing all of that and the customer support, I might get 5 to 10 emails a day. And that could take 2 to 3 hours because firstly I wouldn't want to be doing it and I'd just procrastinate and it'd all build up and then it's stressful and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably one of the best things I did was just get someone to take care of that side of things because it's $5-10 an hour work that I shouldn't be doing.
Your Filipino team all in the one place, or are they spread across the country working from home?
It's husband and wife and then the husband's sister. So it's all part of the family.
Nice. How'd you find them?
Through a recruitment service, James Schramko's partner of recruitment. Found the first one, and then her husband needed. Oh, I think he was working at the time, but then I just asked the question, and I visited them a couple of months ago, actually, over in the Philippines, and that was the first time I met them face to face, and it was great. They're lovely people, and just it's a much better connection you've got when you actually meet them.
So important to at some point go and meet your team. It's a game changer. Isn't
I wish I'd done it earlier.
Bring them out here or go over there and just get to know them.
Because it's like the comparison I made with that was if I'm working with someone online and I haven't met them face to face, but I've analysed 10 of their videos, we've got a relationship there. But compared to someone who I've met at a clinic or someone who I've spent 7 days with in Thailand on a camp, there's no comparison there. You just get to know people so much better face to face.
It's awesome, buddy. Have we exhausted traffic sources and profile building sources?
Yeah, we keep it pretty simple with what we do, and I think just the consistency has really made the biggest difference over the last 2 years. I've done a little bit of paid traffic, and I'm talking with a company to help do paid traffic at the moment because I'm not really using any.
I reckon that'll skyrocket you if you can get that right. I would imagine that'll skyrocket the membership.
I would think so, and I think part of my reservation is that with the current membership, we're moving over to a different platform that will hopefully be easier to use, will look better, and it'll basically get people better results. Because at the moment, it's a little bit like the Netflix of swimming. We haven't got that much content, obviously, but there's a lot there. And so I'm not directing people very well to the stuff that's going to help them. So I'm a bit reserved with, I don't want to get too many people where I'm not exactly entirely happy with it. But I don't know if that's like a perfectionist type thing.
Maybe.
So, Maybe. But paid traffic will be
let it go for a couple of months and see what happens. Just test it.
That's probably a good idea. I think like James Schramko, he'll tell you that I'm a very slow mover with things, and I've been like that for a long time.
Yeah, no, he would say the same about me. So.
We're one and the same. Maybe it's the swimmer in us. I don't know. There's something to it.
Maybe it's probably the procrastinator in us, the control freak in us, and some of this stuff. I don't know. It's not confusing. There's some big concepts there, and to get your head around it, and some of it feels time consuming. Some of it feels like, there just seems to be a lot of moving parts. It's actually not the case when you're building a business like yours. But as you say, you've kind of tried to simplify it, and I think you've done a really good job at it. We're chatting with the procrastinator himself, Brenton Ford of effortlessswimming.com. I'd like to finish up, Brenton, with a swimming conversation. So for those of you who aren't swimmers, either hang around and we might convert you, or skim forward and go to my top 3 attention grabbers from this chat, and then we've got a monster prize draw segment coming up as well. But Brenton, swimming's awesome. For me, it's been an absolute game changer. I mean, I'm lucky enough now that I swim every morning in the ocean with a bunch of old blokes in budgie smugglers. But
living the dream.
Living the dream. And, for my mental health, for my physical health, for my just overall kind of view of the world, I can't imagine not doing it and being able to swim in the ocean. You're a pool swimmer, I know. But what do we say? There's business owners out there. You touched on it earlier. You've seen burnout. I see burnout all the time. I've been burnt out. They're just not finding the time to look after themselves. Swimming's an awesome thing to do. Any kind of tips on how they could start? Yeah,
well, I've been sort of back and forth with doing what you're doing now, training all the time. And my background was competitive swimming. So I used to swim 9 times a week, 3 gym sessions, and used to train a lot. And then when I had a few more responsibilities with the family and working and all of that, there was a time where I wasn't training much and I wasn't doing it in the mornings. And for me, if I haven't exercised in the morning, I'm pretty grouchy and I feel like I've got this built up energy that I need to get out. And so what I've started doing lately, and I've got 2 young kids, they're 1.5 and 3.5, and it makes time a little bit more, it's a lot more precious now, and I haven't got as much of it. So I've been getting up early. I've been getting up at 5 o'clock, go for a run before the kids and my wife wake up, and then I'm mentally, physically I'm so much better for the day. So I've just been trying to squeeze it in then. But it was hard the first couple of times because the body clock wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And so just squeezing it in then in the morning. And if I can win the day early on, I feel I'm much more productive as well.
Yeah, I did an interview for another podcast I'm doing for American Express. It's called the Idea Exchange podcast, and I interview Christina Carlson from Kiki K, you know, the Kiki K stationery stores, and she has 2 hours in the morning from 5 till 7. She called it her golden hours, but it was about her. First hour was meditation, journaling, writing down what she's grateful for, all that kind of stuff, and then the second hour was go for a swim or a walk or a run or something. Yeah. After that, she's open to other people, but those first 2 hours were for her, and she's much better for it.
It's the way to go, isn't it? I think because as soon as you check your phone, you're doing emails.
Stuff.
It's
You are sucked into the vortex.
Yeah.
If there is someone listening who would love to give swimming a crack, and it's a relatively easy thing to do, buy a swimming cap, pair of goggles, pair of budgie smugglers, or for the ladies a one piece.
Yeah.
And go and swim 10 laps, or is there a drill that you would suggest?
Yeah, if they're brand new, adult swim lessons is probably the way to go, because so many people, if you haven't got that swimming background, it's nerve-wracking. I have somebody who came to a clinic on Saturday, and she's like, I was really nervous coming here, and she could swim really well. And if you haven't got that swimming background, it can be very nerve-wracking. Yep. So adult swim lessons is probably the best way if you're brand new.
Great idea.
Otherwise, just start small and...
Or, if you were a self-promoter, Brenton, and take a lesson here, mate, join effortlessswimming.com. It'd probably be, probably a good start.
And I mean, if you can swim, so our minimum is if you can swim 200 metres,
right,
then it's probably the right level to work with us. If you can swim 200 metres continuously.
Yep.
So if they're brand new, I normally steer them to another resource. But if you can swim, then... there's no better place than coming to a clinic if you can, or we put out so many videos that you can learn something there.
Well, you do, absolutely. There's so much free content. I wonder whether instead of directing people who can't swim 200 metres elsewhere, because you're going to very quickly learn, you're going to be able to swim 200 metres pretty quickly, maybe you should offer some kind of like $20, here's what you need in order to swim 200 metres.
That's been on the cards for a little while, but
I got it.
So that's what I want to do, create a 20-30 minute video that will help people go through that brand new to knowing how to swim. So,
well, Brenton, I'm just looking at my notes here. I think this interview's gone swimmingly. Sorry.
I saw that written down on the notes there. That you're just waiting to say it.
Get that dad joke in there.
Nothing like a good pun.
No, love it. Buddy, well done to you. I think it's an awesome business, and one that, as I said at the top of this interview, if you are a small business owner with knowledge to share, then what you are doing is a model that could be, I think, transferred into so many different industries, right? And so there's massive learning there. Well,
yeah, and for me, it's taken me a long time to be comfortable being an expert in something and putting my face out there, because I'm pretty lucky with what I do. 99% of the comments are great, and that's unheard of for YouTube especially.
Yes.
You still get those negative people, but in maybe industries where there might be more critics out there and more controversial, it can be hard, but it's been so worth it. And I think just from a confidence perspective and in terms of speaking and just being comfortable coming and doing a podcast, it's made a world of difference. And if I hadn't have started the podcast or started YouTubing, for me, I think personally, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's really helped, but it's that initial hurdle of being comfortable doing that.
Good on you, buddy. Well done.
Thanks very much for having me, Tim.
Well, there you go, team. Swimming coach extraordinaire and a very smart business founder, I'd suggest, in Brenton Ford of Effortless Swimming. If you're into swimming or would love to get into it, seriously, check out what Brenton has to offer, and I'll put a link in the show notes so you can do that. But right now, thanks to your ultimate marketing resources list, which you'll find at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, here's what grabbed my attention from that chat with Brenton. Attention grabber number 1. I love how Brenton is always thinking about ways to add value to his members in order to make them feel loved and so that he can hold them for longer. So it kind of raises the question, what can you do to add value to your current clients or maybe even past clients? Attention grabber number 2. I love how Brenton has a content schedule. This is something I'm working on this year with the guys from Vala Media. And already I'm finding it removes that pressure of wondering what you're going to create and post next, which is kind of a big blockage for many of you, I guess, to embrace social media. Attention grabber number 3. I love how Brenton is using virtual assistants to lighten his workload and allowing him to focus on what he does best. Now, if you'd like to learn how you could do the same, then email me and I'll introduce you to a fellow I use to build my team. My email, tim@timreid.com.au. That's what grabbed my attention. I would love to know what grabbed yours. Tweet me @TimboReid or leave a listener review over at iTunes. It builds my rankings and my ego.
Come on down. It's Timbo's Monster Prize Draw.
Oh, yes, indeedly, doodly. It is time to reward another motivated listener for taking some serious, swift, intentional marketing action. And today's winner is Amanda McDonald of the showermanmelbourne.com.au. Now, Amanda wrote me a absolutely tremendous email detailing all the things her and her hubby have implemented from listening to this show. And I can't read them all. I will put the list in the show notes for this episode so you can read them all and learn from them and maybe implement them yourselves. But here's what Amanda has to say briefly. She says, "Hi, Tim. I listened to your podcast for the first time at the beginning of this year. Where have you been, Amanda? This is an 11-year-old show. What took you so long?" At the time, my husband and I were running our business as a one-man show, him on the tools and me running the round doing the quoting. I think the third episode I listened to was the Platinum Electrics one, and from then it was on, says Amanda with an exclamation mark. I'll put a link in the show notes to that episode because it's one of my most popular episodes ever. I felt like that was the podcast that was talking just to me. That was the moment. Nice. Amanda had an epiphany. Since then, we have gone from hubby doing all our jobs to employing 2 full-time replacements for him and an offshore virtual assistant. Next year, I plan to have a full-time sales rep replace me and another 2 to 3 full-time guys on the tools so that we can step back and work on the business more. Or may I suggest, Amanda, go on a holiday. Our turnover has tripled since we began implementing all the ideas below, most of which I stole from your podcast. Well, you didn't steal them. I mean, I gave them to you. That's why I do this. Now, very long list here. As I said, I'll put them in the show notes over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/490. But things like SEO tweaking, setting up systems, JFDI, that was from the Michelle Bridges episode. Just freaking do it. That was Michelle's advice. Outsourcing, partnerships. It just goes on and on and on. And as a result, guess what? She's tripled her business. No surprises there. It's all in the implementation, not listening to the podcast. I am sure there are a lot more, says Amanda. However, that is all I can think of off the top of my head. Keep up the great podcasting. Amanda McDonald. She's a director of the showermanmelbourne.com.au. Amanda, you are an implementing machine, and I find that really inspiring. You might find this show inspiring. I find what you do much more inspiring. As a result, here's what you win. A $75 Flora and Fauna voucher. Can't buy bacon at that site. You can buy fakin', not bacon. $50 Sendle voucher. A Lumber Punks $100 voucher to go and throw some axes. A 180 headlamp, that's worth $100. Boxing gloves from Fitness Enhancement, $40. A full range of Liars non-alcoholic spirits, that's worth over $500. Mr. Lee's noodles, $30. Jeff Anderson's video marketing course, $197. $100 voucher to get some undies from Tradies. Promotion on this show you get a backlink in the show notes. Google loves that. You are a winner, Amanda. Everyone else, you want to win like Amanda did? Then listen and implement. And then send me an email, tim@timreid.com.au. Tell me one idea you've implemented and what impact it's had on your business. If I read it out on air, you win. Whew. You exhausted? I certainly am. I'm going to go for a swim, I think. That almost wraps up episode 490 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show. Thanks to your ultimate marketing resources list. which I would suggest checking out at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Big thank you to Charlie and his team at Valor Media for pulling this show together. And by pulling, I mean editing, creating the show notes and all the social media posts that go with it. Big thank you to Jamie and the team at Studio 822 in lovely downtown Noosa for making me sound half decent. Next week, we catch up with a fellow who does something I'd hate to do, door-to-door selling. His name's Chandler Smith, and he's one of the world's leading door-to-door salespeople. He made $200,000 in his first 4 months, has made millions ever since, and he owns 63 houses as a result of his success. Nice work, Chandler. Don't forget, there's an entire back catalogue of interviews over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com where you can buy my amazing marketing book, The Boomerang Effect. There's a testimonial. Someone wrote that in a testimonial somewhere, I'm sure. If you love the Small Business Big Marketing Show, then let another business owner know about it. You'll be doing them a favour, and I'll love you forever. Just grab their phone and subscribe for them. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.